Yo, 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 what up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Brothers in Arms, a new way for men to talk. I am your host, comedian Edgar, and I'm joined today by two of my favorite brothers, Dr. Dan Ratner and comedian Eric Nieves. What's happening, brothers?
Great to see you, Edgar. Great to see you, Eric. Fun to be back.
Great to see you too, Dr. Dan, Edgar. What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. I'm happy. I'm happy to be back, man. I'm like, I got like I don't know how you guys feel, but you know, we took a little break before we started all of this, and now I'm like I have a little bug, like that first time you get on stage or when you're doing something big, and I'm like, why am I so nervous? I'm just talking to Dr. Dan and Eric. It's like, you know, sometimes I feel like we let all this shit get in the way, and I have more fun sometimes in our meetings because we feel like there's no pressure, and that's how I feel about this. So I'm like a little anxious because we did take that break, but excited to finally be back here with you guys. Honestly, man, I truly needed this. And yeah, Dr. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for season 3 because this technically it's still season 2, but I mean it feels like season 3 because we talk about acknowledging like what happens. It's a way that really it's part of the ethos of this show. Is like we don't hide anything because we're doing a show about communicating and talking about what really happens. So there would be no point in getting on this show and not talking about the fact that we've been delayed several months for various reasons that we're going to talk about. That's part of who we are. Like, where are we now? I don't know. We're about to find out, but at least we're talking about it. That's good.
That's good, man. We're back. That's where we at. Right now we're back. How are you, Eric? How you been, man, in this long hiatus?
I like how you're using the word hiatus.
Hiatus.
Hiatus. Well, you know, I just kind of look at it. Remember, Sopranos only had 7 seasons, but it lasted like 10 years. Yeah, so maybe that's like us. No, I think it's, you know, it's interesting because, you know, as much as we wanted to do the show, because I know we did, they were just, you know, when it's circumstances beyond your control, you know, it kind of makes it hard because you really want, it almost makes you want to do it more when you're going through stuff because you wish that you could have just a meet and have a little port in the storm type of thing. I don't know if that makes any sense, you know, just kind of a brief respite, but there were logistic reasons, not just issues. They were logistics that just prevented it, and I'm really glad that we're getting back to it and picking up and see where season 7 is going to be. We're already on 7, right? No.
That's right. Yeah. Now in the next 3 minutes, we're moving to season 8. I don't know.
We're just gonna record all the seasons on this one episode, yo. You already
we're gonna have a 10-year box set by the time we hit 60 minutes on the show. We're gonna have the 10-year anniversary of Brothers in Arms.
But how you been, Eric? Personally, I mean, how you been? It's been a couple of months since we actually gone. You know, it's I would say right 2 months, right, at least since the last time we actually got together. Like, and I want the viewers to understand that we're not in the same place. You know, Dr. Dan is, and I don't know where you at, Ohio? No, where you at, Dr. Dan?
I'm in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio.
Ohio.
And you know what? It's been over 2 months, and it's still cold here, even after all that time.
Dr. Dan is like, man, summer is still not here. So yeah, Dr. Dan is in Ohio. Eric's in the Bronx, New York. I'm in LA, and it's crazy and. I'm dying for the day that we get to do this together, man, in person, you know, like face to face, you know, so I could actually like look at Dr. Dan, look at Eric in the same picture. But how you been other than that, Eric? Tell me.
I've been actually okay, you know. It's been you know, a lot going on as far as stuff in New York where I live, a lot of political stuff that kind of drives you nuts, but I'm just happy that my family's well, you know, and I did have a recent visit with my mom who turned 69, which is awesome. And
happy birthday,
and
mama.
plus saying my mom and 69 in the same sentence for some reason makes me giggle. I don't know why. Mom, you're 69.
I'm glad you said it.
You coming to mom's 69?
Yeah, and she's only been married for like 3 years to her current husband. So, you know, 69 might still be in the cards. I don't know. It's only been 3 years.
Wow.
But yeah, listen, I did.
He went there. He went there.
Yeah, I did. I did.
No, I picture his cute mom. And like, no, man, that's messed
up.
No.
Listen. That's my mom's favorite joke. No, but in all seriousness, I'm happy that my family's been generally well. I have been in contact, with everyone during the missing time. We've had little messages here and there, so I'm glad at least we dropped each other a little line, which, and I think that's one of the most important things you could do for your friends or anyone that you care about is a check-in, which could be something brief, just a 2-minute, just a, hey, how you doing text, out of nowhere, or an email, sending a video that you think that they'd enjoy, just something like that. I think that's important to support each other, especially because, I mean, we're separated, so we have to find creative ways to stay in touch. But I think it's more important to the people closest to you to just check in every once in a while, say what's up.
Nice, Eric. Man, that shit almost made me emotional right there, yo. But it's true though. It's crazy how sometimes you think about people and you tell yourself, oh, you know what, they're good. They must be doing good. It's always, when you don't check in with people, you always assume that they're doing good. You don't know what that other person's going through, and it is crazy because I've missed this podcast so much. I'm really looking forward to today. I'm doing a walk in the walk today. And I'm looking forward to it because most of the excuses for us not being able to get together were because of me, and it's crazy how sometimes we don't reach out. You know what I'm saying? Like even when we're going through stuff, you don't reach out, and that was the reason why we started this podcast. That's the reason why how we all got together so we could talk to each other and hopefully not only do it between us but do it with other friends, and they could do it and they could move it forward, and everybody gets to to pass the favor, I guess. But it was crazy how what I've been through in the last couple of months, and I didn't reach out as much. So I'm sorry, Eric, because I know you did. You checked in a lot, and then sometimes it's a side of me that I wish that I could change. I wish I could tell myself, okay, you know what? But sometimes I just don't want to talk to people. I don't. As much as I'm sitting here right now telling you it's okay to talk, but then sometimes that old person in me comes in where I just don't want to explain to everybody what I went through. I don't want to, go through that. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you today, Dr. Dan, on stuff like that. Why people do that, you know what I'm saying? But before we get into it, I want to know how you've been, because it's been a couple of months. So tell me something emotional, Dr. Dan.
All right, well, actually, I'm gonna do it in reverse, if that's okay. I want to answer your question, then I'll tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
And the reason I'd say that is I had something on my mind that I just want to say. So I was thinking about, why do people not reach out to people they want to talk to? They're totally happy talking to them, but what's with that inertia? And I was thinking about what Eric said, that, you don't know how somebody else is doing. Reaching out can be so helpful to them. But interestingly, I think when you don't reach out, you're actually doing something not so great to yourself. You're robbing yourself of the chance to feel connected. And there's a weird inertia that people have within themselves. And I think this is like getting deep into the weeds of psychology, but I do think that a lot of it is actually self-punishment. It's like, I don't want to give myself this connection. We convince ourselves in our mind that, oh no, I just don't feel like it. We twist it all around when really we're actually taking something away from ourselves. If we build it in to just assume, no, you're going to like it if you do it, and you deserve to like something you're doing, and you give to yourself, you'll do it more regularly. I find my way around it is I just set it up so that I even have a list of like the people I'm going to contact and how often. That makes it sound bad. It's like, oh, I'll contact you more or less. But the thing is, that's giving something to myself. As long, and your question, Edgar, revealed that. You were like, why don't I do this? Right? Mm-hmm. It's something I would like. I really think it's about how we withhold things from ourselves without even realizing it. We don't even call it that. We think we don't want to do it. Really, we're twisting it around. We're holding it from ourselves.
No, it's true. It makes a lot of sense. It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And I think that for me, recognizing it helps me even more, So the fact that I'd be like, damn, I should call. I called you last week, Eric. You remember you were shocked and happy to hear from me. And it made me feel bad. I'm like, this is my boy, this is my boy. He fucking calls me all the time, and we don't talk every day. And that's the reason I appreciate our friendship, Eric, because we don't have to talk every day. We don't have to be those best friends that talk every day and tell each other everything. But the minute we call each other again, we pick up right off where we left off. And that's to me is a stronger friendship. But I wanted to apologize to you, brother, because I should have talked to you, you know, especially when I was going through, which I'll talk about it later on, but I should have reached out more. But that was my question for you, Dr. Dan. I'm like, why? And it's crazy how you put it. It's true. I am taking it away from me, because sometimes even when I don't want to talk and I tell myself, okay, let me just call someone. I have a list. I don't have a list like that, like you do, Dr. Dan. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I want to know where I am on that list. Actually, I want to know I want to know how many people are on that list, and if I'm even on it. I think I'm on it on every hour, once a week, on this wonderful show called
It's
Brothers in Arms.
It's confidential information, so I can't reveal it. But
I'm just like, is there a general number? Is there?
Well, you know, it's funny you say
130, something like that.
It's funny you say it, but like, I don't have to have you guys on the list because we have this built in.
Exactly.
If it's built in, sorry, then I don't have you on the list because I know I'm going to get to interact with you. But the way that I think about it is, if people are important to me, I have to build in time with them. I have to, and if it's not already set up, then I got to build it in.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do find you gotta think about it like two different phases of. It sounds silly, but you got to think about two different phases of an interaction. There's starting the interaction and having the interaction. Starting the interaction is the hard part. For whatever reason, we hold it back from ourselves. Once you get going, boom, it's great. And in a way, that's what happened with this show. You know, obviously there were logistic things that legitimately were getting in the way. But I think we started to get into a loop where the longer it went, the more we started to feel that, oh, you know, the beginning part, okay, do I want to dive back in? And of course we wanted to dive back in, but there's some kind of resistance we have for ourselves, especially when we're giving something to ourselves. And in this show, it is a giving. We've talked about this before. It's like it was part of the routine of our week. All three of us loved it and feel like it added something to it. It's so funny that we would have any resistance to getting back to it, but there it was, because it's just human nature to withhold things from yourself that are actually really good for you.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. And I'm glad
I would like before you. I just want to respond to your apology, Edgar, because I just want to let you know that there was no need to, because you did nothing to apologize for, in my opinion. I totally understood. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because first of all, if you remember when you finally did call, when you were ready to call, is the way I should have put it. I had joy. I wasn't like, oh, now you calling, and because I didn't feel that way. I knew that you were getting my messages. That was good enough for me for now at that moment, because I knew what you were going through, and you'll talk about that. But because I knew that you were processing information that you probably didn't even know how to communicate on a human level yet, without breaking down or not even being able to find the words. So you needed to kind of learn and go through all this, whatever, in order, before you could even share it with others, in my opinion. So it didn't bother me that you didn't call me back, because I knew that it wasn't because of me. It was because you had a heavy weight on your shoulders. So I just want to let you know that if it ever happens again, that you never feel a need to apologize, and it's whenever you're ready.
And thank you. Hold on, Dr. Dan. Thank you for not being that dude and be like, oh, now you call me? What the, thank you for not being that dude, because that's what we do to each other as men. We'll do that shit. We're like, yo, what the, bro, you my boy and all this bullshit. And then automatically, if you would have done that from the get, maybe that would have shut me down. Maybe now I'm like, okay, now I can't talk to him, because now I'm going to have to explain, and it's not going to be a serious talk. So that was a good point right there, just by you saying, being happy just to generally just hear from me and not bringing anything else up made me feel more comfortable to talk to you. And that's why I felt the way that I felt, and I needed to apologize, because at the end of the day, you're my boy no matter what we have here going on. You've been my boy for the longest. You've always been there, and thank you, and I appreciate you, brother. I really do.
Of course, bro.
This is a good illustration of what good friendship should be. There's like no pressure, support. True, you guys really love each other, and you don't care about that stuff, and you don't put the static in the air like you were saying, Edgar. Those supposed jokes, they drive wedges between people, even small ones, and so Eric, I do think that was great. You said that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, he told you himself when I heard his voice, it was a joy because I knew it was the start of the new communication.
Yeah, it automatically made me feel good instantly. I was grateful at that moment that I picked up the phone and I called you. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy how even this morning I was driving around this morning thinking about what we're going to talk about today. You know, because even though we talked about it yesterday, we were like, all right, let me think about the podcast. And that question came up, Dr. Dan. Why do we hold ourselves back from giving us, you know, from reaching out to people or ignoring people when they call us and all that stuff? And it's crazy how Eric just brought it up. You know, Eric segued me into that question, and I still haven't found out how you're doing, Dr. Dan. But I swear we're gonna do it. We're gonna find out.
I was just gonna say we've totally mowed down Dr. Dan's feelings. And,
no, Dr.
Just
Dan,
so wrong about a show
doing?
about men communicating.
Hurry up, Dr. Dan, before Eric and I keep apologizing to each other.
No.
I better tell you how I am. I better just work it in here. I was thinking, I was like, we're gonna have to work that one back in.
Rewind.
I'm really good. You know, and one of the reasons I'm really good is being back here, but not just being back here. I love being back here in a way where we talk about what's happening. Like, and we talked about this in the production meeting last night as we were getting ready for this. Like, this is who we are. Like, and I love this part of my week and the flow of things. And I got a lot of exciting stuff going on. I'm about to finish up my book. It's getting ready for editing.
Nice.
And that's not only going to be like a weight off, but it's also a great joy to get to share that with people and know that that's going to help a lot of people. And it's interesting. That fits with what we were talking about like withholding good things from yourself. It's the same thing with writing, the things you want to write. That's one of the reasons it's hard to sit down and write, is you're actually withholding something good from yourself. It's work. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of work. But you're also withholding something good from yourself. The closer you get to finishing, the more you might like dance away from it and be like, I can put it off for a little bit, or I might prioritize something else. So we gotta really learn to enjoy giving some things to ourselves. And I'm in a good spot. And I think being back here with you guys, not just being back here, but being back in this way where we're doing what we do, I just love it.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
I've been thinking all day. I don't know what that was.
And he just walks off. We never see him again. Just all we see is a mic and an empty space. And one of Dr. Dan's songs comes up.
We'll just keep his back, like empty black backdrop there.
That's
man.
it. Just an empty
hope that he comes back.
That sounded like a Nintendo hockey noise or something.
Yeah, that was as close as I could get, man. I'm not Michael Winslow from Police Academy. I can't exactly do every sound effect and all of a sudden be that flawless.
No, this morning I was thinking.
I did not know there would be sound effects needed for this emotional show.
There you go. There you go. I'm gonna record them. I'm gonna record your sound effects and I just put them over here and I push.
No, you'll never do that. We'll never do that. You'll never hear that again. I hope.
Yeah, I hope.
For the listeners and viewers alone, I hope.
Well, we did record it, so we can.
It's already done. One time
true.
only.
It's too late.
One time. Yeah, but this morning we had the production meeting yesterday. We talked about today, and I was thinking about the purpose. You asked me about the purpose of the podcast. You know what we're gonna do with season 2, how we're gonna go, and I started thinking of the reason why we got together. You know, I wanted to do this to bring, you know, men's mental health awareness, you know, learn how to talk to each other, bring, you know, have a place where we could cry, be emotional, laugh about it, joke with it, you know, because not every mental health conversation has to be a sad one. Not, you know what I'm saying? Talking about mental health doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be out here like, no, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to make talking about mental health fun, and that's what I've been thinking about all day today. I was like, I'm looking forward to it. Even setting up, I was like, I am looking forward to it today. Because I'm not going to pretend that camera. I don't care about that camera. I don't care about none of this. I'm just going to talk to my boys and hopefully, you know, make myself feel better about this. Because that's what we do when we call someone. When you call someone, you calling someone sometime, let me call somebody. But you don't know what you're doing for that person. That person could be having the shittiest day ever. And just getting that one phone call from you and them not ignoring your phone call could change both of your, you know, perspectives. So,
I'm glad you see, you know, when I went to see my mom recently, I also saw my sister. And every time I visit my sister, her wife always tells me the same thing, is that I don't reach out enough. And you know, my sister and I's relationship is extremely close, right? But sometimes I think we underestimate the impact a random reach out. Like, don't wait for something to be wrong, or don't wait to have something specific to offer, but just literally just a random reach out. I'm always I get reminded every time I visit that they have a stronger impact than I may realize. And knowing this, I still don't make more of an attempt to do it. And that's part of what Dr. Dan had said about maybe denying yourself what's good for you, because just getting a response from my sister would probably bring a light to my heart as well, and hers. And yet it's something I haven't adopted on a regular basis, knowing that might be, you know, I do it with my mom all the time, where I just random messages, but I don't do it with my sister, even though it could probably have a real positive impact for her. And
I think you should do it. I think you should do it right now, while we're on the show.
Yeah,
you should. Listen, there's no time like the present.
Just call her and tell her you love her.
No, I'm not going to call her.
Oh yeah, if you call her during the show, that would be a little.
I'm not going to call it. What I will do now, and this is actually an interesting experiment, because now this is actually putting it out in the world. Is it as impactful as her wife? Because my sister says it's fine. She insists it's fine every time I talk to her about it, guys. She says, not a problem. And because it's always been that way, I assume it's not. But what if I'm wrong? What if I send this message right now?
Yeah.
Sometimes we get used. We get used to how people really are. I've had this conversation with other friends where I'll be like, "Yo, dude, it's usually for New Year's, like the New Year's resolution. Like this year, man, I'm gonna try to call. We should try to talk at least 3 times a week. And you need to understand that sometimes life takes over. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes the bullshit happens, life happens, and some people be like, "Oh, you know what, bro? They haven't called me. I ain't gonna bother calling him."
But you know what
I'm saying? Like, he's
so
too busy for me.
I just sent a text just now.
See, that's great. I whenever it occurs to me, and those random ones are sometimes the best ones. Like just receiving something where you're just like, I was just thinking of you because of I heard this song that reminds me of you or something like that. That's great. That's great stuff. And you just pounce on it. Do it right away.
Yeah. So I'll see now. If I don't get a response, I got to remember that I shouldn't take it personal. But not a response doesn't necessarily indicate the impact that it had, because it doesn't change a person's schedule. So
yeah. Well, actually, you hear. I'm sure you've all had this experience where you send something, you don't hear back, and then you talk later, and they're like, "That meant so much." Like they didn't manage to respond back, but it still meant something.
Yeah, of course. It's like an emotional bank. You're just making a positive deposit. You're not looking for a quick return. You just looking to make a deposit.
Actually, this also is one advantage of texting. So one of my very best friends, he and I had set up every other week we'd have a Zoom call, and we were keeping it up, really, really well. Then he's a musician, and he started recording. He would actually be great for this show. I should talk to him about coming on. But he started recording an album. This was his first solo album. And he was disappearing into the setup of it and the work of that. And but he came up with this idea. He was like, I can't, it's harder for me to do the Zoom calls right now, but let's text each other every day what we're grateful for. So we just texted this gratitude list. And for a while we were doing it every day. And it really was putting me in like this great mindset, and it was allowing me this short little interaction with him that was so great. And then if we fall off for a little bit, that's fine. It could go like a week and a half, and then I'm like, gratitude. And I start saying what I'm happy for, and we're in it together again. So there's lots of ways to connect.
That's a good one though. I like that one. I'm the same way with my sister, Eric. You know my sister. I love my sister. My sister's my rock. Ever since Mom passed, she's like she took over that. She's there, in the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like I could spend 2 days in my own world, or 3 days, and then I'll call her. She was, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And it makes me feel so good. And I guess at the same time, that's what makes me feel bad. That I'm like, damn, I'm such an asshole. I didn't call her every day. It doesn't take much to call. You know what I'm saying? And then you think,
But you are younger, right? If I'm not
I'm the
mistaken.
oldest. I'm the oldest.
Oh, you're the oldest.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
No,
Well, I
I'm
don't
the
know.
oldest. That's my
I guess
baby,
because
yeah.
the way she yells at you, I thought she was old.
Oh, dude, just like my mom, identical. But but it's the same way, man. And it's crazy that we were talking about this and how this topic just came about, because it's been in my head for a few days, and it was one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you, Don. How do I get out? How do I get out of this phase? How do I stop denying this to myself? Really,
I think whether you make a list or whatever, or you just do it on the moment, just in the way that Eric did there, find whatever your system is and just start giving more to yourself. And it becomes a habit. Like now it's kind of built into my mind to do things like that. Yeah. And, maybe I still may not do it enough in certain ways, but I like to think of it as something I'm giving to myself, that each and every one of these people is valuable to me. Time is passing. We don't know how much time we have, and it's just like, go, do it now. Say hi to somebody now, and do it for you. Like, it's great if it's for them too. That's fantastic, but remember that this is actually something very good for you.
Nice. Yeah.
And real quick, before you say hi to someone, make sure it's someone that you know.
That's true. I mean,
yeah,
it's a
listen,
creepy.
because there are certain cities, I don't know where you all live when you're listening, but at places like New York and Cleveland and LA, you will not get the best responses if you approach total strangers and go, hello, how are you feeling? So make sure you know the person.
But you know what? That's a good point. It's the how are you feeling that really pushes it over the edge, though. You can say hello.
Like, that's none of your business.
You can say hello to a total stranger.
Not on the subway.
No, you can. They'll just ignore you.
Oh no, they won't. Not these days. They come
really?
at you.
All right.
Oh no, dude. Oh, listen. That's
It's
that's
gotten worse in the last 3 years since I've been gone.
It has been horrendously violent in the subways.
I have heard some things.
Yeah. I haven't taken the subway not once since the pandemic. Not once.
Wow.
I've either taken above ground public transportation, or I've driven or taken a cab. I have not. It's almost, I have a phobia of taking the train. I have not been in a tunnel since the pandemic.
All right, we'll have to put this down as a potential next episode. Now, guys, I want to call an audible here.
Yes.
Because we were gonna do some old news.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should, because we got to leave enough time to hear what Edgar has been through.
Right.
He just has been through so much stuff. I mean, lots of stuff have happened for us all, but Edgar, I mean, come on.
No. I'm on board. I'm on board with that, because we could always come back to that subject, because
we'll bring that subject back another time. A mystery subject that you did not hear about. We'll be bringing it back. But Edgar, if you're ready, we'll turn our attention. If not, then I'll just return.
I'm loving the flow that we have right now.
I think with some editing, they won't even know that we were going to switch to something else.
Exactly.
We didn't even mention the term. So,
as a matter of fact, every show is always going to be different. We might do it, we might not. Who knows?
I like that.
This is the flow that I want. I want us to like go here, and the question that I had for you, Eric, basically, brought it up, and we went from it, and if you guys are ready, I think we'll go right into it, man.
So we would need to go into it right now, right?
We're ready.
Dan, we're based on clock?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we should switch right into walking the walk.
Let me talk about this real quick before we get into my walking the walk, because you were talking about how you can't go up to people nowadays and be like, how you doing? Like, that's a little too much. No, you're invading their space. It's okay to say hi, hola, but it's too much when you pass that and you ask them how you doing. Because sometimes that even bothers me, And I think when you ask someone how they doing, it should be a quick, I'm good. Yeah, I've been better, You ever ask someone and they really get into it and they be like, holy shit, did I get into this bullshit? But it's crazy because I just came back from Puerto Rico, and I spent a while in Puerto Rico, man. And every time I go to Puerto Rico, I always stay in the mountains. I always stay with family. This time around, I was in the hospital with my dad. We'll talk about that. But it was just seeing the people there, and it blew my mind how everyone was so nice to each other. like you're in an elevator. Everybody walks in, whoever walks in, good afternoon, good morning, good night, how you doing? They see you eating, enjoy. You know, everybody was just so nice. And I'm like, and it made me think like, damn, you cannot do this shit in LA. Not everybody is nice.
This is part of why I moved to Cleveland. You can do that here.
There are places in the country
great.
you could still do that. Listen, Middle America, places in the South. I was in a town in the South called in Danielsville, Georgia. Population, my mother and her husband. Okay, literally, and they were the nicest people. I mean, they just kept asking me, "Where you from? You talk funny." You know what I mean? Like, I had to deal with that. But they said hello and how are you? I mean, you look like you ain't from here. You know, I was digging it, man. So places like New York, like major cities, not so much. So Puerto Rico's a place that you could definitely do that.
Because you're in that state of mind, right? Even for me, in the first few days, I was getting annoyed by it.
No, well, it's the culture too. It's a cultural thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's their culture to say good morning. They consider it that's part of being polite. That's part of being a part of society. When you have a fragmented city like New York or LA, you're not going to have that same kind of community mindset where you want to say hi to everyone in the community. It can't be wired that way. It's too divided. It's too fractured.
Well, one thing I took from that, Dr. Dan and Eric, I'm going to be that person. I'm trying to be that person every day of my life, no matter where I'm at. Even here now, since I got back from Puerto Rico, I get in an elevator, I say, hi, how are you? I won't get so deep into it. I'll see how the person reacts to it. Sometimes people want to talk, and then you're like, okay, you could hold into it. But I'm gonna try to be that better person for myself and not expect it in return. I don't care. If you don't say nothing back, whatever. I did my part. You know what I'm saying? That makes me feel good that I could actually say hi, have a good day, and walk away. And you don't say nothing, walk away. But I did my part in it, and it made me feel good. And it was weird how you just brought that up about the subway and New York and everything else. And I wanted to talk about that Puerto Rico thing because it did change me being out there and seeing how the people were and how nice everyone was to each other. It was really, really nice. And I think the world would be a much better place if we were all like that in one way or another, you know?
I agree.
Absolutely. I mean, this show, if anything, is driving that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid. And I think you said something key also, Edgar, which is, you know, when you do that, just knowing that's how you want to live and it doesn't matter what the response is that much. I think there's something great in that. That's very freeing. And I think it will free up a lot more people to live that way rather than gauging, are other people going to want this? Because that's going to make people second guess themselves and not do it.
Yeah. Cause we talked about this in season one of the episodes of season one, when we talked about being nice. You know, holding the door for someone, you know, doing something, and then you get mad when people don't do it for you, and then people stop doing it because I'm like, hell no, that, you know, and it should never be like that, man. That's what I learned from that episode, and then this trip to Puerto Rico really opened my eyes to, let me be a better person in that way. Let me not be so, I already shut myself off enough. You know, I shut myself off in my own little world sometimes when I'm going through my shit that I'm all to myself. Let me try to be the better man here, you know.
Well, then think about how, I mean, this is a segue into your walking the walk, because like, think about how shut off from everything you were during that time. If we shut ourselves off when we're not in those times, and then we hit those times, there's a lot of isolation that goes on. You know, much better to keep the communication going, and then if you hit a rough patch and you decide you need to withdraw in, that's totally fine, of course, but at least you're setting up a system where you're reaching out more in general.
Exactly. Because sometimes we'll feel more comfortable just, you know, locking everything up and being by yourself, you know, because you don't have to explain or do none of that bullshit. But yeah, I think I beat around the bush enough, and now it's time for me to get into this walking the walk. So if you're looking at us for the first time, if you're checking us out for the first time, I'll introduce my own walking the walk. You know, walking the walk is you know, a segment we came up with where we come out here and we just talk. We just, you know, vent out on stuff that's been bothering us, something that has bothered us, something that it's in our head, and we just let it out and show an example of what we're here to do, which is talk to each other and be better men. So my walking the walk this week is deep because, you know, it has a lot to do with everything that has happened. You know, it's been over 2 months that we have not gone together, And it made me feel bad. It made me feel like shit at times. I'm like, damn, it's mine again, you know. But I guess it all started like about like 2-3 months ago. My girl's dad passed away from cancer. You know, and I can honestly speak for a lot of people when I say fuck cancer. You know, and it's crazy and it gets me emotional. It just takes me to a place because, you know, Eric and I lost a good friend to cancer a little over 2 years ago, and it's a messed up thing, right? So it brought out. I thought I had talked enough about my mom, you know, on last season that I had like it made me feel like I was finding myself talking about her and not getting so emotional. And it fucked me up because now I'm like, damn, am I not caring anymore? Like it doesn't hurt me no more to talk about my mom. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to be able to talk about her without showing the emotions, you know, without feeling sad inside. So I was getting over that, you know, I was getting over that point. And then and I knew her father had, you know, we knew that he was, you know, fighting cancer. And I stopped seeing. I didn't see him for like a month. I was traveling, doing comedy, you know, back and forth, and I didn't get to see him in a month. And when I saw him again in 1 month, it took a lot out of him, like drastically, to the point that I saw him and I was like, oh no, this is gonna happen. You know, like this is happening. So it opened up like a little Pandora's box with mom again, where when mom passed away, I hated the whole world because I couldn't be there, you know? And I couldn't be there. I couldn't say bye to her. I couldn't give her a kiss. I didn't get to see her before she left. I couldn't say bye. You know, the number one thing was I couldn't say bye. And now seeing her go through this pain, it just like it started making me like comparing like what is fucking worse? What's worse? Losing someone instantly like that with like I did, or losing someone in slow motion, you know, seeing someone go little by little, you know, and it brought a battle within myself, you know, because now suddenly the pain that I thought it was so bad and deep down inside, seeing someone else who I care for go through it just fucked me up. It really did, you know, because I started seeing how you know how much it was hurting her, you know, and when mom passed, I blocked out. Eric could tell you I blocked out. The same topic we just talked about not calling, not talking to no one. That's how it was. I shut down everyone. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to hear from nobody because I felt like every time I talk, I had to explain to somebody what happened and how it happened, and I didn't want to talk about it no more. You know, so seeing her go through that pain, and dude, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I got to spend a lot of time with him, and he rest in peace. You know, I got to know him. I got to really hang out with him. He's like a real cool man, and seeing someone go like that, seeing a Latino at that, because Latino men, we're more proud. We don't want help. We don't want help. We get. I guess the older we get, the more we feel like, oh, help is a sign of weakness. I got this on my own. You know, he was that person. But towards the end, I got to spend towards the last few days, I got to spend I got to spend them with him, and it was cool. And then it happened, and as fucked up as it sounds, man. You know, it was already to the point that I was already praying to God that it would just take him. As much as that would hurt, I just wanted my girl to stop suffering, stop. You know, I didn't want her to because the hope makes you feel worse. You know it's coming, but we all have hope. We all have hope that, you know, oh, how long is it gonna last? And it did happen, and it was hard. It was a shocker. You know, I thought she was prepared for it. You know, like all I could do at that moment, and as much as I listen to people, as much as I'm there for people, as much as I'm that person that people call with their shit, and I listen to them, and I refuse to call people with my stuff. I didn't know what to tell her. I didn't know how to be like I'm here for you. I'm here with anything that you need. I'm here. Whatever you need, I'm here. But at times I found myself speechless. I didn't know what to say. And all I could say was, look, take advantage of the fact that he's still here. He's still here. We'll see him every day. I'll take you every day. Every day we go see him. Appreciate every second, because that's something I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have that. So he's still here. And then I thought, she was accepting it, but when it hit hard. It hit really hard.
Is that Eric's sister calling you?
Yeah, that's Eric's sister, man. Out of control. You text her, and
she's calling and saying, "Why are you convincing my brother to fuck with my schedule and call?"
It was like right in the middle of this very serious thing. Eric's
just texted
sister calls
me.
Edgar.
Did you put Eric up to that shit? Is he okay?
Yeah.
Oh, I think we should leave that, man. Forget about it. But it got to a point where when it did happen, it hit her hard, man, and it hit her hard, and it hit me too. I cried. I cried a lot. I cried a lot for someone who just came into my life a couple of years ago, and it was like it was really, really, really hard. So that was the first part of why we couldn't get together. So finally, this happens. And I'm like, okay, now we deal with the aftermath. I'm trying to be there for her, but it was so hard for me to be there for her because I shut everyone down when I was going through it. So I don't know how to be there for someone. You know what I'm saying? How are you there for someone who's mourning, for someone who just lost, their dad? So then a couple of days go by, and then I get a call from my sister. And my father's in Puerto Rico. He was getting knee surgery. He had just gotten knee surgery. And the day before his surgery, I spoke to him. I was kind of nervous. I've been, ever since mom, he has not been right, with all the panic and anxiety attacks. And, every time I get a phone call from Puerto Rico, that's from, I get nervous. You always, sad, but the first thing that comes to your mind is some negative shit at times, So he got the knee surgery. He was doing good. And then they had to rush him to the hospital because they thought he had a heart attack from the rehab place that he was in after surgery. Found out that he didn't have a heart attack, but he had an infection in his gallbladder, which I told Eric. This is the last time before everything went deep. When I spoke to Eric, because they told me that he had 2 gallbladders. Dr. Dan, have you ever heard of this shit? Dude, I'm like,
you have been through a lot.
Dude, I was like, my sister told me, I was like, is this a thing?
I was
I've
bugging
never
out.
heard
I
of
said, 2 gallbladders? I was like, and he's got to get one removed. I'm like, what?
Yeah, what?
I've never heard that, ever.
He said 1 removed.
That's what you said. You said you was going to have a surgery.
No, but that's what they told us. They told us that he had 2 gallbladders, and like supposedly 1 in every 4,000 people suffer from this.
Wow.
But the thing that blew my mind is that they took 76 years for them to figure this shit out, So my father, I love him to death, and the more time I get to spend with him, I'm starting to see myself in him, It's like I don't know how, like I see him and I'm like, this is my future. This is exactly where I'm headed, I'm just like this. I'm just like him, So He goes to the hospital. They knock out the heart attack. They tell him about the gallbladder. He's in pain, and he begs my sister to, let him go home, because he could do the physical therapy from home. And it's true. The therapist could have came to the house and done it. So he begs my sister, and he goes home for one night, and the next day they had to call an ambulance and rush him back to the hospital because the pain on the side was too much. So since they thought he had 2 gallbladders, they will transfer him over to another hospital because they didn't want to do that. Was a special surgery. So we were getting ready for the surgery. My sister calls me like a few days before the surgery, and she's like, "Bro, I'm worried about Dad." And that's my little sister. She's worried. She's just strong. I consider my sister the stronger ones out of all us men. Me, my father, my brother. And she was worried. And of course, I'm the one that doesn't have the actual job, the 8 to 5 that that you could go to. So I decided to go to Puerto Rico. I told my sister, okay, I'll go to Puerto Rico, and I'll be there for the surgery, and then take care of him until you could get there. And basically, dude, this happened Monday. I couldn't find a flight for Tuesday because it was very expensive, but I left Wednesday night, and I got to Puerto Rico Thursday. and he was supposed to get the surgery on Friday, and the same day I got there on Thursday, he got a heart attack. It blew my mind, dude. I got there Thursday. He called me. I called him up. I was in Charlotte when I did the layover, and I spoke to him, and he sounded good. He was excited about his surgery. He told me, look, my sister's going to stay with me tonight, so when you land, don't worry about coming to the hospital. Just go home, get some rest. I know you're tired, and then come tomorrow morning fresh. And I said, oh, thank you, Dad. I was like, I'm still going to go at 6 to see you because that's the visiting hours. So I landed. I got to the house. I was in the house for 15 minutes, and my sister calls me. She said, bro, you got to get to the hospital. Something happened with Dad. So when I got there, dude, he had just suffered a heart attack. So it was crazy because he couldn't even talk. He was mumbling shit like, and I'm like, what happened? Like, I'm looking at my eye like, what the fuck happened, dude? He was all right. You know, he was, and the doctor came and they said that his oxygen level went down to like 65. So they wanted to tube him. They wanted to, put a tube down his throat after the heart attack. And I was like, no. And the doctor's asking him, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, you can't listen to him. You can't. He's out of it, So the doctor's like asking him. It's funny how we always see the comedy and everything, no matter what, through this moment that the doctor asked him what year it was. And he said, excuse me? He said, what year is it? And he goes, he looks at the doctor, he looks at me, he goes down and he looks at the doctor again and he goes, man, I think I'm going crazy. And he goes, yeah, but what year is it? And he said, 17. That's all he said. Not like 2017, 2019. He just said 17. He went way back. And then he asked, it's funny because, then he asked him another question, and then he keeps on looking around, and he looks at me, and he's like, help me. And I'm like, Dad, I can't fucking help you. I can't help you. This is how we know if you're doing good. So basically they kicked us out. They put him in ICU, and the doctor told me, he goes, don't be surprised if we have to, incubate. What is it? Incubate?
Intubate.
Incubate. That's like a baby shit, right? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you could incubate him.
That'd be one
weirder
big
than
incubator.
That's weirder than 2 gallbladders.
Your dad is really tall. I mean, so that would be a hell of a big incubator. They'd have to put a bunch of baby incubators together and strap them all out and like hollow them out to get dad in there. The doctor's like, we don't have one this big. He needs it.
This is the
he needs an incubator.
This is the biggest baby I've ever seen.
Jesus, he's over 6 feet, doctor.
I can just imagine his legs sticking out. They only incubate his torso, his arms and legs sticking out the machine.
What a difference a couple of letters makes.
Yes. Yeah, man. This is it. This is why I love it. I love fucking talking and finding the funny. But so basically, man, he got this heart attack. Automatically the surgery went out the table. The doctor said, so he was mad because he really wanted this 2 gallbladders out. So then we found out it wasn't 2 gallbladders. What he had was a cyst. He had a cyst on his gallbladder that grew bigger than the actual gallbladder, and that's what they were seeing. Mm-hmm. So they had to put a tube in his body, and then they could drain. So it's crazy because my mom was my father was my mother's caretaker for the last, I want to say 10 years of her life. My father did everything basically for my mom. He did things that us as men would be like, I would never do that shit. So now here I am in Puerto Rico, and the first couple of nights I couldn't stay with him, and it was nerve-wracking because I would just go home and regret that phone call. And then like not wanting to get a phone call. I didn't even want my phone to ring, to let me know that it was the doctor, and they had incubated him with a tube down his throat, So I got, when they moved him out of ICU, I got to spend 6 days with him in the hospital. 6 long days sleeping in a tiny little sofa right next to the hospital. And then that's when I realized that my father is annoying as shit, yo. That's when I realized that. It was crazy because it was a moment that everything happens for a reason. Everything. That kept us away for 2 months. But it gave me that moment that I'm grateful for. I was grateful that I could actually get on a plane and break out with no worries, break out with no hesitation, and spend that time with him. And I got to do things for him that I would have never thought. You know, like I got there and I was taking care of him, and I said, Dad, you better not take a shit on yourself, because I'm not fucking cleaning you. I'm not doing it. I'm not. He would laugh at it, and I would laugh about it too. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. But it got to the point. Not that I'm not here saying that I cleaned his ass, but it got to the point that when you're in that position, none of that matters. None of that stuff that you would tell yourself I would never do matters. You know, if I had to clean his ass, I would have gladly done it. And we got to spend a lot of time together, man. You know, 6 days in the hospital talking. It was beautiful, man. You know, so as fucked up as the time was, and as nervous as I was, because I had to be the stronger one. You know, and it's crazy how sometimes as men, that's a challenge that we have as men. We have to be strong. We have to be strong for our significant others, for our wives, for our parents. You know, I didn't want to be nervous and be all nervous and worry, because that's gonna get him more nervous. You know, that's gonna freak him out more. Seeing me like that, he's gonna worry about me, and I don't want him to worry about me. I'm here to worry about him. So and I think it blocks you out more. It blocks you out, you know, because now I gotta be tough. Now I want to be the tough guy. I want to be the dad. You know, I'm trying to make him laugh, joking around with him. You know, I put up with annoying, and I'm like, damn, he's really fucking annoying. And I'm like, damn, I'm like this. This is me. This is fucking me. You know, like it was like 6 days of seeing myself in the future. You know, but grateful that he got out of it. You know, they finally sent him home. And then a few days later, my sister got there. And then finally, when my sister got there, then I was able to leave, because I would have never left him. But basically, that's what I've been going through for the past month and a half, really, you know. And it's crazy how yesterday I was thinking about what topic this podcast is gonna have, and I think the topic is on how to reach out. Because when I was in the hospital, Eric texted me. When I was in the hospital, everybody was texting me, because everyone knew that I was the only one with him. You know? So, I mean, my brother and my sister, yeah, you know, I can't ignore them, you know. I mean, they worried, and a couple of other people who, you know, but other than that, it was just like, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. I don't want to talk about it no more. It's like over and over explanation, but at the same time, I'm hurting myself, because those people probably cared about me. Those people wanted to know how I was doing, you know, and I took that away from them. And that's one of the lessons that I'm learning, and I learned from that situation, and I'm learning from this podcast today. You know, stop worrying about what I'm going through, and reach out. And you know, and reach out. And I want to thank you guys, because you guys put up with it. You guys, you know, I felt bad, man. I was almost to that point that I'm like, I hope something happens to them, so it won't have to be me canceling all the time. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, that's true. I am responsible. Well, I'll let you finish your walk in the walk, please. I don't want to interrupt.
Man, no, but basically, that's you know, it was hard. It was hard, Dr. Dan. You know, and I talked about our sessions when we did with the crushing doubt, and I felt like everything that I worked with you last year just completely went out the window. And I saw how all the stress, I saw how all the anxiety and all the, because the anxiety still kicks in, the depression kicks in. You know, you there sitting looking at your dad, you praying that everything comes out good, and at the same time I think about mom, you know, and it's like a ball of emotion where a few times I walked away. I'll be like, I'll be right back, Dad. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get something to drink, and I would just go outside and just take a walk and let tears out, because I was just already it was so hard holding it inside. And then it made me realize that that's the problem we go through as men. That's the problem we go through as men. It's so hard to show this shit. It's so hard to show a fucking tear, because it makes us look weak. When in actuality, you know what? This conversation that I just had with you guys is actually making me feel better. This doesn't change me. None of this changes me. but it makes me feel good. Now I feel at ease because I talk to my boys. I let my boys know. So basically, that's what I've been up to in the last couple of months, and that's my walking the walk, yo. And I had to cry after fucking season 2. I said, yo, some one of us got to cry, and I'm like, yo, fuck it, let's kick it off, yo. But I'm happy to be back, and hopefully there's no more obstacles where we could keep going every week and do what we have to do, because I really enjoy this. So thank you. That's my walking the walk.
Well, thank you for sharing, Edgar, what you've been through. I have lots of different thoughts about it. It's kind of hard to organize because there's so many, but I'll say a couple that I think are the most important. First of all, I don't think, I know what you mean, that everything went out the window at that certain moment, but I want to help you see that that's not true, that you actually have carried all of this with you, that all that stuff we did in season 1, I think you actually knew it was all here. You know, before season 1, we didn't have that. You know, you hadn't built that system. And even seeing you walk the walk this time, maybe it was every bit as hard to go through. And I do understand that. But the you that went through it is different. And I can see it. And you coming back here is different. And the other thing I'll say is that, you know, the thing I was saying about reaching out to people, it's different when you're going through a crisis. When you're going through a crisis, then sometimes it's not giving to yourself to reach out to people. You might need that time to take and process in the way that Eric was talking about before. And it seems to me that you did a really good job with this, with a very, very tough situation. And listen, there is no situation tougher than facing the fact that mortality is a real thing, that we're going to lose each other. And I envy people who are so religious and they know what the afterlife is. You know, like that must be a great comfort. I'm not saying I'm not, but I'm still in the process of working that one out. But you were facing the very real experience of how important different people are to you. And you were really up against it. I think that's a time where if you want to reach out to people, do. I think keep in mind sometimes you may not, because you may be punishing yourself, or you feel like you think you're not going to like it, but you actually will. And so you want to get over the hump. But I also don't want you to be hard on yourself, that you needed to do whatever you needed to do during that time. And in the meantime, I think it was really important to say, you're really different than you were then. All that stuff that we did, it's here. This conversation shows that. Eric, what do you think?
You know, I know what you went through, but to hear it all laid out all at once kind of reinforced how much it was in such a short amount of time, and makes me even understand even more why you had to kind of cocoon yourself for a little bit. But like Dr. Dan says, I think in the past that cocoon was to hide, and I think this cocoon was to build strength and to transform into something else, which is a different vibe. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think
Get to this point.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Exactly. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have been able to openly discuss all this and how you feel and what you went through. And that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot to go through in a short amount of time. And I also want to say I am responsible for one of the missed weeks because I was having new floors put in. So I don't want you to take all the blame, Edgar. There was 1 week.
Dr. Dan had a week too. Dr. Dan had a week too.
That's what I'm like. I think we each had one, but to get back to what, how do you feel now? Like, how would you describe your feelings now? Like I know you like just getting it off your chest to your boys right now, all in one shot, unfiltered.
I don't want you to think, Dr. Dan, that I threw it out the window when I said it went out the window.
No, I wasn't taking it that way. I was just encouraging you.
I want to thank you, Dr. Dan. I want to thank you because you have opened my eyes in so many ways. And yet, I think last season, that session that I did with you, made me stronger and ready for this. You
Yeah,
know,
I wasn't taking it in any kind of
no.
bad way, what you were saying.
No, but it's true, though. But, you know, sometimes we get so much and you, like, overwhelmed. But I think what was different this time around was I saw it. I saw the negativity taking over. I saw the doubts. You know what I'm saying? And it's so much easier for doubts and negative and all this bullshit to come in where we already down in our own little eggshells, you know? And I saw all of that. And it made me realize, I'm like, yeah, I am thankful, you know? And it made me realize how sometimes we can make the situation even worse. The old me, honestly, the old me after the last couple of months that I've had, you guys probably want to hear from me for another 6 months. That's how I feel, Eric. If I feel like if it wasn't for the first season of Brothers in Arms and how I've opened up with you guys and the world, because everybody gets to see this, not just, you know, you guys, everyone gets to see this. I feel like this has made me better, and I wish it didn't get to that point. I wish it didn't get to the point that I had to ignore your calls for 2 weeks, or you know, or I couldn't hit you back for 2 weeks. I wish that I could pick up the phone as soon as I'm going through it instead of shutting it down. And that's what I know I gotta do. And it's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna be like that because I say it's gonna happen, but I know that I gotta do it. And little by little, I'll keep on every single day working to that point where we. Wait a
minute. Are you telling me other people are watching this? I thought we were just gonna do a rehearsal session.
Well, it'll be really interesting.
Whoa! Oh, hey! I didn't sign that release. I'm just kidding.
Watch. We'll see that Eric, after episode 5 of season 2, is a totally different person.
That's it. Oh my God. Never again. I was lied to. I was lied to at the beginning of the show. But you know what? I love, you know, don't feel bad about the 2 weeks, because what you did for yourself in those 2 weeks. And then when you were ready to share it with others, that's when you stepped out. I know that every call and every text was getting through. And I know, because we're friends, that it meant something, and you just had to go through what you're going through. So, and I just hope other people take that same route, and just, even if you're not getting a response, it's not you, it's them going through it. And you'll know it's not about making you feel better. It's just about sending some positivity out to the world, but that will automatically help you feel better anyway.
Yeah, and that's why I'm grateful for this podcast. That's why I'm grateful for both you guys. Because if anything that I could tell you now, from my first walk in the walk to this walk in the walk, it wasn't as hard.
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't as hard. You know why it wasn't as hard? Because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to show my emotions. I'm not afraid. For years I hid that shit. For years I didn't want nobody to see my weaknesses, my emotions. And now I'm not afraid. So it felt good. It felt good. You know why? Because at the end, when we hang up, when we break this out and we go back into our everyday lives, I'm gonna feel better about this. And that's the point that I'm trying to make to every guy out there, everyone listening, man. That's the whole point. Just talking, making fun of shit. You know, because I'm still trying to picture my father in Incubator. That shit.
Yo, dude, if you better have that as a bit in your next act, or you're gonna regret it, bro. That is a classic right there.
You know what I did to my father, and I close on this. I would mess with him. You know, for some reason he didn't want to pee in the little urinals, like, and if he did pee on this thing, he would give it to me, and I had to go flush it right away. I'm like, dude, just leave it there. No, go take it. I'm like, leave the damn piss. So every time he peed, I had to get up and throw this little tiny bit of piss out the thing, you know? And I was like, what is it with you and piss, you know? But I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot. Hey, I just forgot.
You know what's interesting, though? I know you forgot, but
I forgot about I just thought about the piss, and it's just like,
now you got all of us thinking about it. Now all three of us are thinking about a little dribble of piss. You couldn't use a shot glass or something, or a coffee mug? Did it need to be something so large?
Oh, okay. So I remember. I try to make them laugh a lot. That's what we do, Eric. That's what I do as a comedian. I've always felt that when I go to hospitals to visit people, I get so nervous that I'm just funny. You know, I make them laugh, I joke around, and I tried that a lot with my father this time around. So I did something to him that every Latino parent has done to their kids. And I got him so good, you know. So he's in a robe, and he hated the robe because he had his ass out. You know, he hates. He always begged me to put shorts on him. I said, Dad, you can't put shorts on. You're in the hospital. So he wanted to get up to use the bathroom, and he started getting up. And I get him up. I got him up halfway. He was sitting in the bed, and I took out my phone, and I said, "Come on, Dad, let's take a picture." But I was actually recording a video. I said, "Come on, are we ready? You ready?" And I went and I grabbed this penis, a little penis. And I said, "Whose little penis is this?" In Spanish, ¿de quién es este huevito? Oh my God, dude. To me, like every kid, Eric, that any of your aunts, your mother, anybody did that to you as a kid when you were little? They grab your little balls and be like, "Dude."
Not that I'm aware of, because usually we're infants when that happens. So if I had a clear memory as an infant of that would be amazing. If I could remember to when I was 6 months old. So no.
In our next episode, we'll be covering sexual assault.
Yikes. Call the cops. Now,
Dude,
it might have been one of your aunts, Edgar. I don't know. I mean, I have to see pictures.
But now I have that video. And just to see his
Lord.
face and how he embarrassed, and he, even though he was mad, he started laughing so hard. And it's like a moment that I was like, okay, this whole trip just summed down to this one very moment, and I have this video. And it was great, man. As hard as that whole situation was, it was great, and I'm glad that I got to share it with all you guys today, man. And
we're glad to have you back, man. We're really happy that you're back, and that you're,
man.
That you're ready to
back.
continue this journey.
Definitely.
Very, very happy to have you back with that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I think we've gone extremely over, Dr. Dan. So
no, listen, this was good. We needed to take some extra time with it, and I do think that what we're gonna find is every season is a journey, and it's actually one continued journey. But this shows us how far you have come in all kinds of things, and I think we all feel that way. And it was one of the reasons I thought it was important that we do get back to sometimes walking the walk with us, because it's a part of how we feel our growth and our trust in each other. So thank you for sharing it. It's always an honor. I think you did a great job, not just in getting through that time, but also in talking about it so openly with us. And that's what this show is about. So it's great to be back here with you guys.
And know that, just to like people listening, man, when you can walk the walk right now. You don't have to be on the show to walk the walk. You don't have to tell no one you walking the walk. You know, just walk that walk and feel good about it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm glad that I had you guys here for that. At the end of the day, this moment has made me a better person right now, and thank you both.
Thank you,
happy
Edgar.
to be here, man.
I just want to make Eric emotional.
My hair has too much hair gel to allow emotion. It's blocking. I have so much gel in my hair that emotions cannot penetrate my head, and I can only think very slick, very shiny thoughts. So
his head is like this.
Unfortunately.
But thank you, man. Thank you, everybody, for listening, man. I hope you enjoy this podcast. Please share it with someone if you feel like they need it. Remember, man, talking makes us better. Let's just be better men, yo. Let's be better men. You know. Anything, Eric?
No. I think just thank you for sharing, and I look forward to the next time you ever want to share. We're here for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. We'll keep up this journey together.
All
right, guys, I'll take us out as usual. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally.
Brothers in arms.
Redefining machismo since last year.
Incubate. Una foto. ¿De quién es ese huevito? ¿De quién es ese huevito? Dime, ¿de quién es ese huevito?